When you're not healed and you're not comfortable and confident by yourself, there's no way you can give properly in a relationship. It's just impossible, and they can sense it.
An investment banker turned into digital entrepreneur in the fitness and wellness space.
Tracy Harmoush.
I hated the fact that I was doing something day in, day out that I stopped caring about. If you're not doing that and you're doing that typical 9-to-5 corporate where you're clocking in and out for a paycheck and to go party on the weekend, you're wasting life. There's nothing more lame than talking to an unempowered man, and vice versa. Have a discussion with an unempowered, not confident woman.
A man's loyalty is tested when he has everything. A woman's loyalty is tested when a man has nothing. It's difficult. Like, there is temptation everywhere. Give one piece of advice that you give to women who are in their 20s.
You need to find your confidence, and the only way to find confidence is...
What is up, guys, and welcome back to First Things First. Today we have special guest Tracy Harmoush. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very, very good. Certainly can't complain. I detect a little bit of Middle Eastern background. Am I right in thinking that?
Correct. I'm Lebanese. Lebanese American. I'm American by passport. I was born there, raised there when I was younger, but I'm originally Lebanese.
Okay. How long did you spend in the States?
6 years.
6?
I was a kid, but my parents were there for 10.
Okay.
So my siblings are older than me.
Did you like the States?
I did. I mean, I don't remember much of it, but I do go back. But I don't go back to where I'm from. I'm from Denver, Colorado. My entire family's still there, though. They've been there for, what, 40 years now? But when I do go to the States, I go to like New York. I don't go back to Denver much, which I should. My parents are kind of insisting that I visit family again.
I think, yeah, that's one of the most difficult things about relocating. Did you come straight to Dubai?
No, I lived in Lebanon. I moved back to Lebanon.
Okay.
I grew up there, and I came here when I was 21. I'm 37 now, so it's been quite a journey.
21, what made you want to come to Dubai?
I got my first job in investment banking at Citigroup. I was with them for a stretch. I did finance for 10 years, and then I gave it up for entrepreneurship, I guess. It started off for social media, but then it grew into like starting businesses and stuff.
What made you want to get into investment banking? I mean, was that something you wanted to do when you were younger?
Look, I wanted to get into marketing, actually. But when I moved here because my sister was here before me. When I first moved here, initially I thought I was going to work for Procter & Gamble or Unilever and get into marketing. But then I had a headhunter friend who said he does headhunting only for investment banking jobs. And there was one opening in Citigroup that is a catch, but it is an assistant role to be a trader if all goes well, like a desk assistant role to be a trader. And I'm like, do I want to be an assistant? Am I sure am I gonna want to be in finance? And I thought of the idea of trading. I thought it's cool. I mean, it's a cooler version of finance. So I said, you know what? Let me give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? 6 months on the desk was my trial period. And obviously the assistant job was like a piece of cake, but then I was shadowing every guy on the desk, making sure that I got everything I need to know on lockdown for trading.
You were a sponge, just absorbing everything. That's
all I did. I stayed on the desk, reading the books they gave me, shadowing them when they're not trading, when they're going to the loo for a pee. I would trade in their place just to make sure I could fiddle with it, because you're not allowed technically. But they let me. They let me.
You probably lose quite a lot of money doing that.
But yeah, and then I mean, they were all very happy. They all vouched for me, and when the opening was there, I got the job. So I was a trader.
Nice. And you were doing that for how long?
10 years finance in general, but I moved internally. So I did trading for a stretch, equities, and then I did structured products, bonds and FX, and then asset management near the end of my career.
What's it like working in the corporate world in Dubai? Because I have no idea about that. I mean, I came here already with existing businesses, so I never had to work in the office or the corporate world. And a lot of people who think about Dubai, they're like, oh, it's this amazing place for opportunity and progressing with your career. But a lot of people I know, they kind of come here, they either already have their own business or they're looking to start up their own business. But for those people who are going to be working for somebody else in the corporate world, what is the reality of that?
Look, I mean, I could tell you Dubai for me, I have two visions of Dubai, not two visions, two experiences with Dubai. The Dubai when I was in corporate, but then again, I could also say it was the Dubai when I was in my early 20s. So you still don't have that kind of hunger and strength and mental strength you do that you would have later when you're in your 30s. At least for me, I would say that for myself. But as in corporate, I really wanted to leave Dubai for a while, and I kept asking them to move me to the London office. I wanted to move to New York. I worked out of London. I worked out in New York because I thought that it was Dubai. I thought the problem was Dubai, but I think the problem was that structure in corporate for me. It was a lot of clocking in and out in many days when I wasn't happy, when I wanted to change career paths. I didn't care about what I was doing for a stretch at a time when there was a financial crisis and bankers became almost like beggars, asking people for business instead of us really enjoying the idea of trading and working our clients' money. So at some point, it really felt like a crap industry, a crap place to be. And I hated the fact that I was doing something day in, day out that I stopped caring about. So I think it's not to say that corporate is horrible. It's if you're doing corporate the way I did it for a duration of time, like you're not supposed to not care about what you're doing. At the very least, have a bit of interest so that you could be keen to learn from mentors, so that people around you are teaching you and helping you grow. You take whatever skill with you anywhere. But if you're not doing that and you're doing that typical 9-to-5 corporate where you're clocking in and out for a paycheck and to go party on the weekend, you're wasting life. You're wasting precious time and resources.
I imagine back then Dubai was a very different place as well.
It was very different, my God. I mean, there was literally the IFC where I used to work, and then it was like a plot of sand, and then there was Mall of Emirates. There was a bit of a strip on the IFC of like the Sheikh Zayed Road buildings where Emirates Towers are, and then there was like nothing, and then Mall of the Emirates. And JBR wasn't even here, actually. I mean, I think JBR was just starting to get built when I moved here. Sick, man. It's crazy how much they grew. And this was literally Dubai on that strip. And then everything you find now, like, I don't know, Dubai Hills and everything on the outskirts, forget about it. Those were like truck drivers going in and out of warehouses,
What did you think of the culture back then? So I imagine it was a hell of a lot more conservative.
Yeah.
Because even when I first came here in 2018, I noticed there was a big difference.
It was conservative. I felt it. It was very
like,
prominent
did that
and clear.
Impact how things were in the workplace for you?
No, because I was in a free zone area. The IFC was always, more relaxed. It's more free zone. But if I were to move and work, like I was in Abu Dhabi for 3 years, actually. I left the IFC and I went to Abu Dhabi for 3 years for one of my roles. And you felt it in Abu Dhabi. It was like proper GCC, you know where you are, you know your place, and you know how to dress properly, and you know. And I feel like now, more recently, especially after COVID, Dubai has become, I mean, I don't think people notice that it's still an Arab country in the sense where it feels restricted. I don't know any of my Western friends that claim Dubai is restrictive now. It's actually a pretty easy and comfortable place to be, coming from where they came from really being strict, not being able to go to the mall wearing a t-shirt at some point. You know what I mean? There was that not too long ago. They would stop you on the door if you want to wear shorts to the mall.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, look how people are walking around.
Well,
right?
even now, Sharjah is not very far away at all, and they still have the separated gyms where women just
Oh, that's true. I heard that.
I think there's an Olympia gym, and I went with a woman, and they were just like, "No, sorry, she's not allowed to come in." I was like, "Oh, okay then."
Wow.
Yeah. So it's still Abu Dhabi still has that conservative feel, and certainly other states, Emirates like Sharjah, but yeah, Dubai.
But there's also a fine line between wanting the world to be open and then having some decent conservatism, right? I mean, I feel like sometimes there's people take advantage and they really shift gear completely and it becomes too wild and too crazy. So I think we also need to remember that we live in an Arab country, and I mean, we all should be respectful of where we live, right? We can't just be wild and free and not care and not follow any rules. It's always nice to be appreciative of the country that's giving you a salary or giving you a business and giving you a life, and try to follow by their rules as much as possible. And they have done their part in really letting the rope loose on a lot of things that they didn't used to do before,
Yeah.
to make it easy for foreigners to live here.
So tell me a little bit more about this transition from when you were working at, no doubt, this pretty lucrative job in the corporate world, and transitioning to wanting to pursue something different, what was going through your mind? Because I imagine, no doubt, you had quite a lot of doubts and thinking to yourself, is this the right thing that I should be doing? Is this going to be a massive mistake? Like, how did you make that transition for yourself?
I definitely spent a lot of time thinking about it. It wasn't like a quick change. And I know that because every time I'd go on holiday over the summer, I would have promised my friends, I promise next year I'm going to do it. And then by the time I come back, I go to Ibiza and I join my friends are like, are you still in finance? I'm like, yeah, I am. So I think it's hard to let go of a good paycheck. I mean, if you're getting paid a very comfortable salary and a bonus every single month and you can get, I mean, everything is taken care of, right? And in corporate world, you don't have to think about anything but your job. Finance, lawyers, accounting, everything's paid on time. Your insurance is there. Everything's covered. So there's a lot of comfort that comes with corporate. And I constantly talk about how I don't condone leaving corporate to be an entrepreneur. It's not for everybody. It's a shit show to be an entrepreneur if you're not cut out for it. You really have to have thick skin for the hundreds of rejections, for doing everything yourself, for the mental breakdowns that would happen and the volatility and making money or not making money if you're still discovering your path as an entrepreneur. Obviously, when you get to the other side, it becomes much better. But that phase, a lot of people fall off the wagon because it's tough. And when I left corporate, I knew that corporate was just taking a toll on me. More so because I was doing something that I stopped caring about. The industry stopped being the same. And I felt like there was this feeling of I'm not doing enough. I know what I can offer and I'm not doing enough. And that was enough for me to say, it's just how many years. Did I ever imagine myself in the CEO's chair in Citigroup? Not really. I didn't care. It was never an ambition of mine. The furthest I would see was like, okay, I'll be a director this year. But anything further than that, that's what you need to aim for if you really want to be where you want to be, right? You're going to picture yourself in the CEO's chair one day. So I thought that I have to do something on my own. And luckily, I stumbled across social media at the time, which helped a lot because I started making money off of social media.
What year was this?
2019.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I had a private account actually on social media when I was in finance. One of my friends pushed me to open it because I didn't want any of my clients to see me, right?
All the bosses.
Yeah.
I want to see your trips in Ibiza.
To my sick leaves in Ibiza, exactly. So yeah, and then I ended up growing my page. I got into fitness. I mean, I got really dedicated in fitness. I took my courses. I started teaching calisthenics and mobility because I got certifications there just to get by until I started the fitness app. I started going to wellness festivals, wellness events. And now I'm in 2 other businesses. One is an ice cream and random.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kind of like
ice cream business.
The absolute opposite of the fitness side of things.
It's your balance, right? So you have 5 days a week where you have to train hard, and then you have your weekend where you can enjoy my ice cream.
Yeah.
And a production house, a creative production house. My husband and I are partners with 2 other people in that too.
Okay, cool. So the fitness side of things, I mean, at what point did you think, okay, yeah, it's time to launch my own app? Because I know sometimes, especially for you, I have my own app as well. And if you're creating your own app from scratch, it's like not an easy thing to do. And it's quite a big investment. I'm assuming yours is...
It's not. It's part of an aggregator, which helped a lot, especially at that time. So there's an aggregator in the US who reach out to certain fitness influencers to get on the aggregator. I'm the only one they reached out to apparently here, an Arab influencer at the time, and they asked me if I would be part of it. Do you know Playbook? Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
Them. So I said, sure. I mean, they were going to take care of all the back end. There's a commission, like a percentage split, obviously, for taking care of everything. And I just have to work on the programs, which I did for a while. It's still up. It's still up and running, but I don't update it as much as I should. I know I should be offering more, but I already have like 25 programs on it. So
yeah, no, I think that's...
People get lost with the many programs now because I was uploading one at a time, but without deleting old ones because so many people love the old ones. Like, please don't take them down. Please don't take it down. And I have like a beginner guide and then advanced and then intermediate, obviously. Then dumbbells, no dumbbells. Home, not home. Gym, not gym. You know what I mean? So I try to give a bit of everything.
Even with my app, I mean, I've got all these variations of 5-day, 4-day, 3-day splits. And there's a lot to choose from.
Right.
And it's got to the point where there's no real need for me to continue to keep bringing out these different programs, because
you're not going to reinvent the wheel, right?
The ones that are already there work, and it's just a matter of maybe just rotating through them.
That's what
based on
that's
like
what
some
I
high
say.
volume, some low volume, high volume.
Yeah, or let's say increasing the weight on round. Like if you finish 4-week program, and it's a weight training program, then the obvious and natural thing to do is repeat it with higher weights. You know, that's how you're going to the advanced level, as opposed to changing the exercise altogether. A Bulgarian squat is a Bulgarian squat. A squat is a squat. I mean, there's nothing fancy around it. And anyone that really shows anything extremely crazy and fancy around it is just for show, I think, or just to make it interesting. But the basics work. You know, they work.
That's why I don't even show my workouts that much on my main account, because it's literally just the same thing over and over again. It's just a handful of exercises. I'm rotating through my favorites, like maybe 20, 25, 30 exercises, which are the most effective for training a particular muscle group. And I'm just doing it again and again. Maybe I'm tweaking the weights,
angles,
the tempo,
and weights.
angles.
Exactly.
But yeah, people get bored easily, and they want to try something new because they feel like it's somehow magically going to do something a little bit different.
You're telling me, I was literally having this conversation with a friend. I have like a DM chat with one friend of mine from the gym, and the only thing we send each other are these random pop-ups of random stuff, like wall Pilates. Okay, her and I bust our asses in the gym, like really work our asses off to lift heavy, to get toned. And with women, I mean, it's not easy. You have to really push hard to be able to get like growth in your glutes or growth in your muscle tone, right? So, which contrary to what a lot of women think, that you can bulk very easily, it's the food that bulks you. It's not the weights that are bulking you, depending on what you're eating when you're weight training. But anyway, we're constantly sending each other this random stuff that we see online. Like we're sitting and doing all of this, and then people are buying into wall Pilates. Like, you know, you can have a 6-pack by just putting your feet on the wall and lifting up and down in a hip thrust for 20 minutes. What? Yeah. Like, what is going on with the world? People are sitting and promoting this random stuff, and people are buying into it. So unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed with some of the sessions which you're doing, you're shifting some serious weight.
Yeah. I do lift heavy. But
I mean, you've not once have you ever found that resistance training has made you bulky?
It did when I was eating crap.
Okay.
I mean, this is my, I mean, it was just all by trial and error. And it just makes sense. It's logic. If I'm overfeeding my muscle or overtraining my muscle, obviously it's going to demand more food. And if I'm feeding my muscle carbs and protein, and a lot of carbs and protein and sweets here and there, it's going to like overstimulate the muscle. So naturally, if you're really pushing and lifting and ripping your muscle through training, it's going to bulk even more than it would if you're not training at all and you're eating crap. I mean, I've been in a situation where I ate crap all summer, and my weight probably dropped by 1 kilo or 2, and I was eating crap the whole time. It's because I lost all my muscle. But my body composition, if you just notice the fat on my body, it went up by like 5% or whatever, how much it was. It was insane. So I may have looked a bit narrow, but I wasn't like tight. I wasn't compact. But then when I shift back to weight training, the muscle goes up. And if I drop the fat, then that's when lean happens. You really have to watch out on your food if you're going to choose to wake up your muscle through training, you know? And that's why you see a lot of skinny girls say, yeah, but I only do Pilates and I don't gain weight and I eat whatever I want. It's because you're not really working your muscle as much as you would if you were weight training to wake it up enough to feed it properly, and then it will end up bulking. So it's really, you have to choose. You're either going to eat whatever you want, but you have to go low on weights, in my opinion, or you have to go high on weights. For the ultimate body, you'll go high on weights, lean on food, like clean food, and you'll just like really be compact, you know?
Yeah, one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of women make is just they're under eating.
Yeah.
They're not eating the right foods. The protein is usually a lot lower than it should be. Maybe they will have like just one meal a day, but then that meal is just the worst macro split it could possibly be, and then they wonder why they're not getting the results they should be.
You know, when I found my ultimate structure is the structure I can be most consistent in, where I'm not starving to death, where I don't feel like I have to cut out big macro groups in order for me to, live on a salad.
Cut out carbs.
But carbs, funnily enough, is the only thing that your body doesn't really need
Mhm.
in the sense of grains and potatoes and stuff. We're made up of 1% carb. The rest is 30% between minerals and fat, and then you have protein, muscle, and water, and whatever. The rest, 70%. 1% carbs. So your body actually needs much more fat than it does carbs. So if you're really going to think of how you're going to get your energy and you want to release old fat, the only way to do that is for your body to realize it's safe for me to get rid of my old fat, which it thinks of as a gem. I mean, fat for the body is how you get pregnant as a woman, let's say. It's how, it's in your brain. It's how you keep your memory. I mean, fat is quite important. And all these women are so afraid of butter, so afraid of egg yolk, so afraid of avocados. For what? Because they're worried that they're going to get fat because they're introducing fat. So I can't have salmon. I'd rather have whitefish because salmon is more fatty. And I can't have my ribeye because it has fat on it. Let me go for only a lean steak. I can't tell you how much fat I eat in my food. I can't tell you. And I eat a lot of fat in my food. But I know that I reduce carbs only when I'm on a cut. And then I reintroduce carbs when I want to balance. So having rice is fine. Having potatoes is fine. But what is your goal really? If your goal is fat loss, then in my opinion, the best way to go is low carb, high fat, so that your body's comfortable to release old fat. Because it's like, okay, I'm getting new fat. I'm fine to release the old fat. And definitely high protein. Protein for me is on every single meal. Eggs in the morning, steak for lunch, steak for dinner if I need to, or chicken or fish.
Is there anything else that you're doing? Because you look like you're in your early 30s.
I'm 37.
You're 37, yeah. So whatever you're doing seems to be working well.
Yeah. I mean, I feel really good, to be honest, especially in this department, because for a very long time I was so lost with food. And I would be so upset that I'm training hard and I'm not losing weight. And I never realized that they come hand in hand until I really tried it on myself. So I got to a point where I got it on lockdown. I'm eating well. I eat good food. I eat whole quality food. And I feel like it shows. I mean, even my nails are stronger. My hair is stronger. And in many ways, I feel like I'm eating the right thing, at least for me, you know?
What advice would you give to individuals who they want to go to the gym, they want to get stuck into their fitness journey, but they are afraid or not feeling confident with being in a public place and executing exercise in front of other people? How to overcome that fear of
For men and women,
judgment?
or are we talking about women? Because it depends on what they're afraid of. Is it a confidence thing, or is it because they don't want men to look at them at the gym, or is it because they're insecure and it's intimidating? You know, what do we...
I feel as though for men, probably it's just an intimidation thing because they're not big.
Yeah.
And they feel like people are just going to make fun of their form.
Yeah.
For women, I feel like there's more of the issue of men staring at them.
Yeah. Okay. So I would say, I mean, I could just tell you how I started my calisthenics journey. I was terrible. If I tell you terrible, as in I had no idea what I was doing, but I threw myself in the deep end. And because I'm all for looking like an idiot and being uncomfortable until you're not. I've done it 20 times in my life, whether it's in my career, being the dumbest person on the desk until I was eligible to be on the desk, whether it is in trying a workout for the first time, doing difficult things for the first time, because I feel like there's a lot of strength in proving to yourself that you can. And even if it means looking like an idiot, being intimidated, you're not as big as you are. I mean, I know I could tell you, look, you can start at home and train by yourself, but I really think it's not about making what's comfortable for you. It's about doing what's uncomfortable until it's not uncomfortable. And if you go through life making those decisions on small things like walking into a gym, imagine how much easier it will be for you to make that decision when it comes to a relationship that you're going to choose or a business deal that you're going to close. It's about building mental toughness and mental strength alongside, you know, your journey of life. And go to the gym. You're going to look like an idiot. It's okay. You'll get good in 3 weeks, in 1 month if you get a PT. I mean, especially that if you if you have the means to do it with a personal trainer, you have the support, you'll grow into it. Go with a friend who knows how to train. I mean, a lot of people that are good don't like to train with people that are new. I get that. But I mean, it's growth. It's growth. It's part of life. Just muster up the strength and do it.
It's funny, I noticed this in Dubai. You tend to get two types of women. There's some who will be wearing the skimpiest outfits ever in the luminous pink, like literally just saying to everybody, hey, look at me. And then you have the other type who they're wearing their baggy clothes, they're not making eye contact with anyone, and they're just in the zone and they're training hard.
Yeah, I know. That's why I changed from big gyms to a boutique gym.
Yeah.
I think, look, to each their own. I mean, you're going to get people that are asking for attention anywhere, whether it's in the gym or whether it's in, a club or something. So you can dress a certain way and go out, or you could dress a different way and go out. But to each their own. I mean, I don't want to pass judgment, but I do find it like it's ruined, I think, a little bit the objective of going to a gym. And then many times we end up going to the gym to kind of engage with people that are like-minded. And then there's now an influx of people that have no idea about how to train or what to do, and they don't really care, and they're just there to pick up guys or pick up girls. So you have to kind of filter through that.
Have you been to 7 Gym recently?
I heard, by the way, but I haven't been. So I heard.
Yeah, so I mean, they gave me a membership, so I was like, okay, I'll try it out, because there's actually quite a lot of people, like guys I know, who they train there, and it's a very good place to network. But it's a terrible place to train. Like,
but maybe it actually works the opposite. I mean, because they want to impress the women there, they're probably training that much harder, so they look good in the gym. So it's kind of helping them.
I guess there's two ways to think about it. But for me personally, I've found that I don't have very good sessions there. But it's interesting because, as you said, sometimes people are going to the gym to meet like-minded people or to potentially meet a partner, because obviously if you're really into the gym and looking after yourself and you want to find somebody who is also sharing those common interests, how do you go about approaching somebody inside of the gym? I think this is a problem which a lot of guys face. Okay, so they're in the gym, they're doing their thing, but they might see somebody who they're like, wow, okay, I'm really attracted to this person. What is the right way to approach that person or initiate some sort of a conversation? Because I'm sure when you were training before these, bigger, more public gyms, that was probably happening quite a bit.
Actually, I never really got approached. I think it's because my demeanor is not approachable.
Yeah, when you were there doing the hip thrust, 108 kilograms, guys were like, oh, okay,
yeah.
I can't do that.
Let's just not look in her direction. No, but truly, I even in the bigger gyms, I personally, when I train, I'm not the flamboyant pink tights kind of a girl. I'm an all black. I had my head down. I'm looking at my weights. I know men. I know how the behavior is, and if I'm going to give the opportunity or the eye contact or the smile, someone's going to approach me. And if I don't want to be hit on, the obvious thing I'm going to do is put my headphones on, change my weights, look at my phone, and I'm just not approachable. So that's, at least from my side, if I didn't want to be hit on, it's very easy to switch that off. So for the women that say, I don't know why he randomly came and talked to me, you know why. I know why, you know why, we both know why. But unless someone's really crass that they're coming out of left field. But in general, men, I mean, it's difficult for men to approach women. So they're not going to, 9 out of 10 times, they won't do it unless they feel like they have an open window. So whether it's how you dress or what you're doing or what you're saying or how you're smiling in the gym, if you're approachable, you're approachable. That's totally fine. Yeah. But to go back to the point of, if you want to meet somebody and know that it's an actual decent kind of same mindset, someone with the same mindset, since the gym has now become like a playground for dating, we kind of have to bring back the idea of finding someone that is reasonably disciplined, that has some consistency. I mean, some nice traits and some nice qualities. And those are the people that you'll find at a 6 a.m. in the gym. Those are the people that you'll find on a run in Kite Beach. But anybody can go at 3 p.m. to the gym and just for show. So I would personally always suggest to people, if you really want to meet someone, especially in Dubai, go for an ice bath. Maybe someone that's challenging themselves for the first time in an ice bath on the beach is has some sort of character to try to put themselves in a difficult situation. Maybe they're more interesting than the average Joe, or someone that's doing a 6 a.m. run every single morning. They have some character. They have consistency. They have discipline. It's a nice quality to have in a man or in a woman, going to Al Qudra, going to a nice hike. I mean, some things are nice when people implement for themselves behind the scenes. And if you're there and enjoying the ride with them or meeting them there, I think it's a much higher chance for you to find somebody than meeting someone at 3 p.m. in the gym or on the beach in Dubai,
I get asked that a lot, what the dating scene is like in Dubai. And I said it's good, but it just depends on where you're going.
Yeah.
If you go out partying and you go into the nightclubs and the bars, midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., realistically, you're only going to be finding a certain demographic of people.
Of course.
Whereas if you are up early in the morning and you go in, maybe you're doing a 7 a.m. yoga session on the beach.
Absolutely.
Or even just go into the gym at 9 o'clock. There's a completely different crowd. So ultimately, it's up to you deciding where it is that you're going to be spending your time and the people that you're going to be surrounded by.
100%. Spot on.
Yeah. When you started your fitness app, did that go smoothly to begin with?
It blew up to begin with, actually.
Oh.
It did. It was, actually, it was interesting because I never meant to start it. It happened accidentally throughout COVID. I was bored, obviously, like we all were in COVID in lockdown, and I started doing workouts online. And I got a huge community because of that. I mean, a lot of people.
This was Instagram.
Yeah. I was doing it on live workouts on Instagram. So just so I can move at home, and it forced me to because I have to show up for other people. It made so many people show up. So I'd had thousands of people training with me at the same time, which was really cool. And because of that, I very quickly got on the app, and I transitioned everybody to the app. So opportunity presents itself, and then you just add a layer on top of it. That's, I guess, how good business works.
Is it a monthly subscription thing?
Monthly subscription or annual? You could book for the whole year or monthly.
Okay. How much of that is it taking up of your time at the moment?
I would say 20% or 30% of my time, because it's all automated now. But at the very beginning, it was a lot of my time, and much more of my time now is on the wellness stuff that I'm working on, like working on big wellness festivals, working on the podcast, which takes a lot of time, by the way. Man, it takes so much time.
How many episodes in are you?
25 maybe. Yeah. What about you?
This is the 49th.
49th.
Yeah.
Nice. Good job.
Yeah. So it's there's the reaching out, there's the organizing when and where you're going to be doing it, preparing for the guests. It takes its time. What do you have planned for the future of it? You just want to continue doing it?
I love it. That's why I do it. Although the podcast itself doesn't pay me, like it's not like my stream of income. I do it for the love of the conversation, truly. And I'm hoping that on the back of this podcast, I could start speaking to better and more interesting and, more diverse number of people. I mean, my show is called What They Don't Tell Us. And I try to get people that could talk to you about the things that we should have learned in school before, many things, but we haven't. To talk about the lessons behind a failed business or a successful business, not the end product per se, not the polished version. No one can learn from that. But what you can learn from is, how did you get there? What was the biggest mistake you've ever done? Were you ever afraid? I like to kind of engage in that kind of a discussion. And it's not only in business. I mean, I do have business people on the show, but if I talk to healers, for instance, like, what don't they tell us? What is the biggest lie? What is the misconception? I talk to, therapists. I have different people from different walks of life, but
I've spoken to some therapists, and I've ended up turning it into a therapy session for myself.
Oh, was it? You're like, thank God, free therapy.
It's amazing for your own self-development doing the podcast.
Man, you're telling me I did it for myself, not for anybody else. You guys can watch if you like, but I did it for myself.
All right, so who's your favorite guest so far, and who is one person who you would love to get on and speak to?
Wow, that's a good one. Okay, I'd love to get. I have my whole list. I can go on and on, but I love Chris Voss.
Oh yeah.
I think he could be, I mean, I love his book, Split the Difference, and I want to talk about like what they don't tell us about negotiation skills, right? So he would be awesome if I can have him on. Jim Quick, I also like him because he talks about brain health and how to actually build your focus and your memory. So he could be an awesome guy to bring on. They're both not based here, but they come back and forth. So who knows, one day maybe they'll land on my podcast. So far, my favorite conversations. I had a good one, Struggles of an Entrepreneur. I spoke to two guys. One of them, he was one of the main founders of Kedim, and he built a unicorn. Like he was part of the first 5 employees at Kedim, and then he exited after they blew it up into a unicorn. So there was a lot of good lessons in that one. And he was paired with George. I don't know if you know George Hajej from Virtue Zone. He's the CEO of Virtue Zone. So they both kind of gave their perspective, one from someone opening companies for people day in, day out, George, and Adib for working in entrepreneurship across a lot of startups. So there was a lot of lessons there that were great. I mean, I talk about relationships sometimes, like Sarah Al-Madani, she was on, and we talk about being a free thinker and talking about relationships. So she had a good perspective, and she has a good personality. So it was nice to have her on the show.
Yeah.
Trading, I've spoken about, but you know, some topics are niche, so it doesn't cater to a lot of people. Like when I spoke about NFTs and trading, people were curious.
Some people are going to roll their eyes when you talk about it.
Why are we listening to this? But I really made the conversation about why and what does it mean? What is the worst that can happen? You know, I tried to make it as, you know, mass friendly as possible.
What are you passionate about the most? I feel like there's, going through some of your stuff, there's a lot of relationship stuff there.
In terms of conversation?
Yeah.
Only recently. But it wasn't, I mean, it was, I think in the past 5 months, I just so happened to be asked when I'm in a podcast, so people are asking me, and I have an opinion about relationships. I think it's important, but I'm much more passionate about mental toughness, growth mindset, working on yourself, independence, being uncomfortable. I mean, this is basically the bread and butter of what I do, whether it's through the wellness festivals I want to work on, the summits I'm working on, it's all under that umbrella, not under relationships.
Yeah.
People are just, I think the internet likes relationships, and people
I think it's because it's very relatable. And even for myself, like I'm learning so much every single day about the art of relationships and how to make them work.
But in all aspects, it's not just, I mean, there's a lot to learn in friendships, in your business relationships, and in your personal relationships. Yeah.
So from your entrepreneurship journey, how have you been able to manage focusing and working on your career whilst also balancing everything else in life, like your friendships and your relationships and family and having fun at the same time?
Yeah.
Have you been all right at managing to kind of balance it, or have you?
I don't think there's such a thing as balancing them all equally. I think that sometimes something's got to give, and we should look at our life in like a seasonal. I mean, every chapter of your life is different. So maybe in this chapter for the next 2 years, I have to launch this product and I have to really work hard at it, which means I'm going to have to skip on some holidays and some trips. It's okay, because in the bigger scheme of things, I'm not gonna, I mean, I will travel eventually, it's not going away, but I don't need to travel every single summer, and I don't have to be home every single Christmas. If I skip one because it was for the greater good of getting this out and I have to focus, then that should be enough of a balance. I could balance these 3 right now. But as long as people are not forgetting about the segment of their life for such a long time that they end up with no friends in the future, they end up with no relationships, they end up getting divorced because you're not giving attention or time to something that matters in your top 3 priority list, because you're putting all of your eggs in one basket, that's where the mistake happens. But it's absolutely okay to have your boundaries, to say no to things that are not on the top 3 priority. And it doesn't mean that you're failing at life or failing at work-life balance. It just means they're not in the top 3 priority, and it could take a backseat. So I would say my relationship with my husband is utmost priority, with my business right now to get it up and launched, and so I'm comfortable. My second biggest priority, and I take a backseat on my trips right now. I don't go as often on holidays. I'm
have to stick at a brutal summer in Dubai?
No, I'll go home maybe, but I won't spend money on many holidays. Like
Okay.
I wouldn't go to do a Europe tour when it's unnecessary. I'd rather use that money for the business right now.
Yeah.
I know that I think that's give and take. And I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel like I don't have a work-life balance because I'm not doing extravagant trips. I did extravagant trips for God knows how many years when I was in finance because I could. I had a paycheck coming in every month. I didn't care, and I had the holidays to do so. But you can't have everything, and that's another thing with discipline and having a tough mind, that you have to be comfortable with not being a brat in life and having everything at the same time all the time. You know, it's okay to balance your life in different seasons. When someone's a mother, she has to be a mother for the first 3, 4, 5 years comfortably before she can go back to maybe doing everything that she used to do in terms of being independent without that dependency of a child. That's that season of her life, and it should be okay too. So why is it any different for work and for entrepreneurship? It should be the same.
What if somebody has been in a relationship with the partner for a couple of years, 5 years, whatever it might be, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, now I really want to focus and prioritize my career. And then the relationship starts to
take a back seat.
Yeah.
But
what happens then?
Look, I mean, if you're making the conscious choice for your relationship to take a back seat, then that relationship is probably not so important for you. There's no reason why your relationship, I mean, if you're married, you made a commitment that you're going to like be loyal and share values and morals and a life and communication with one other person. So the idea is to do life together. If you're choosing to say, okay, I'm going to not do life with you right now, but I'm only going to go for my career, then maybe that relationship is not very important to you. So, I mean, as much as I'm working on my career, I'd rather cut out 100 things, but not cut out my relationship with my husband. I mean, there's only so many hours in the day. And if I'm going to cut out on every Friday night with the girls to have drinks, I'd rather not do that anymore. I can hang out with them for lunch on a Sunday. I don't need to go out and recover the next day because I want to go see my girls and party on a Friday night. I'd rather spend time with my husband. So you can replace one vice with another. You know, you don't have to. You don't have to put your relationship in a back seat when it's supposed to be an utmost priority if you're married. Because I mean, things take a toll. I've seen it time and time again. When you realize people were so in love, and then they're getting divorced, and you think like, what happened along the way? And when you're close enough to certain people, you realize what happens along the way. Fine, I don't need to go on dates anymore, or not dates, forget it. Dates could take a backseat, but even like, I don't need to tell him what I'm thinking. I don't need to, correct him. I don't feel like getting into an argument, or she's so annoying. It's okay. I'm just going to roll my eyes instead of having a conversation with her and talking to her about it. When you do that time and time again, you stop giving a shit. You don't care to correct them anymore. What used to bug you, it's just like, oh my God, she's so annoying, or he's just a disaster. And instead of really going back and saying, I'll have the difficult conversation for the better good, for us to continue to have a connection. I don't feel like having sex, but you know what? We will have sex because of course we need to sustain the marriage. I can't just go 2 weeks without having sex. So there's certain things that you could just say, I'm not in the mood. I don't feel like it. I don't want to put the effort. But if you do the same thing on your business, I don't feel like I'm going to the beach today. I'm not going to work. And do that time and time again, week at a time. What's going to come out of your business? Same thing with relationships. You can't just say, I'm going to take my relationship for granted because I'm married now and I don't need to put that constant effort,
How long have you guys been married?
2 years and a half, but dating for 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things are going very good, I assume. Do you feel like
Pretty
as
happy.
time goes by, it does require a little bit more work, or everything just comes naturally?
No, it doesn't come naturally. But what does happen is I found this amazing transition. I always say my husband is the biggest example to me of someone who can change completely. And when we were first dating to who he is right now, he's a different person. I mean, he used to love to party and go out. He had a club business in Lebanon, and our lives were so different. So I was here, and I never thought that this was going to be something serious until he became more grounded and serious and, calmer. We still both like to party, don't get me wrong. We can go and travel and stuff, but his lifestyle is very structured now. And it's nice because you need routine to kind of thrive. I think something that has changed a lot is we are what he had to say, I don't like this, I don't appreciate this, and I had to do the same for him. Some people fight it till their death, like, okay, I'm never going to change. I'm going to be who I am. I don't want to be any different. Even if he likes it and I don't like it, it doesn't matter. Why do we have to be like this? I think it's really nice to say, okay, my husband doesn't like this. I don't need to do it. I mean, even if it's like small things like, Trace, I don't like when you, I don't know, think of something out loud. Can't think right now, but I don't know if he were to talk to me about something that he doesn't like. I don't like it when you go out till 4 in the morning and I'm not there. Let's say he were to say that. Look, I don't need to go out till 4. I'll go out till 2, whatever. It's not a big deal. If there's small things that you don't really look at your ego and say, my ego is not going to allow me as a strong woman for my husband to tell me what he likes or what he doesn't like. I can do whatever I want, which is kind of the narrative that we see these days. Then let alone what he's going to do as well on the other end of things. My husband knows that I don't like certain things. He won't do them because he appreciates our relationship more than those little things. And at the same time, it gives us so much freedom not to judge each other. And I don't even have to tell him what I like or don't like because naturally he wouldn't do them. He's not going to go by himself out with the guys and party on a Friday night for no reason. And I'm sitting home. There's no reason for him to do that. He knows that we're together, we're in a relationship, we'll go party together, So I think it's nice to kind of take into account what your partner likes, and you no longer have to correct each other. What becomes really monotonous in relationships is when you're constantly talking about the same stuff or fighting over the same stuff. I think that's when people are like, I'm so sick and tired of them. But if you close one chapter, you kind of come to an agreement. Okay, fine, we both don't like this. Let's just not do it anymore. Then you have much less things to fight about. We barely fight, my husband and I, truly. There's nothing to argue about. There's no drama or jealousy. We argue about small little things with work. We bicker on work, but not about like how he treats me or how I treat him. We don't have that issue.
Yeah. I have a question for you guys. Do you take supplements? And if you do you really know what supplements you should be taking? You see, this is a problem I had for years. I would walk into a supplement store. I would buy loads of random bottles of supplements and just pop pills every day, hoping for the best. But in reality, I had no idea whether or not I should be consuming these supplements. That is where Bionic came into the picture and solved that problem. You see, I've been working with Bionic for the past couple of years, and since 2021, I've been getting my blood work done with them every 3 to 4 months. And based on that blood work, they send it off to get analyzed, and then they put together a very specific customized formula for me, which will last me for 3 to 4 months until I get my next blood work done. And honestly, it's been an absolute game changer for me. They also offer another product called Bionic Go, where all you need to do is go onto the website, fill in questionnaire, and then based on that questionnaire they can give you your customized supplements. So if that sounds like something that would be of interest, which I highly recommend, go onto the website bionic.com and you can use the link in my description to get a nice little discount on your first order. There was a quote which I saw on your Instagram which I liked. A man's loyalty is tested when he has everything. A woman's loyalty is tested when a man has nothing. I like that.
It's very
true. And I think one thing which I've noticed as well is as I have focused more on myself, my career, and become more successful and tried to also be in a relationship, it's difficult. Like there is temptation everywhere. And you can almost relate it to like the gym and getting yourself in shape. Like on a day-to-day basis, you are faced with these temptations of foods, sweets, things like that, but it's ultimately up to you to make a decision to say no because you want to maintain this physique which you've built for yourself.
Absolutely.
And the same thing can go for relationships. If you're going out and about and you're going partying, you're going to be putting yourself in all these different places of temptation, which is going to make it a lot more difficult for you to, be a good partner or husband.
I agree.
So, yeah, it's given me a lot to think about because at this point in time, I've just been in a relationship for 2 years, broke up in January, and I keep asking myself, like, was it my fault? Like, am I just not in the right point in my life where I want to be in a relationship? Like, it's It's difficult. I'm asking these questions to myself all the time.
Yeah. Look, I think that sometimes it's tough when you're dating because you end up judging yourself if you're not cut out for it, you're not fit for it. But I think in due course, you realize that if you're feeling a certain way and the relationship didn't work, it's because the relationship was not supposed to work, whether it was by your own fault or their fault. But I mean, I had a great boyfriend before my current husband. We were dating for 5 years. He was great. But at the end, we did end up getting married because he didn't feel like it was the right call when we were.
How old is he?
He was 10 years older than me, I think. No, he was 6 years. So I was 27 when we broke up. He was like 34 or whatever. And I remember we were together for 5 or 6 years. And I kept thinking near the last 2 years, like, I was so sure we are going to get married. Like it was like the natural evolution of our relationship. But then when he never proposed, I'm like, okay, why? There's something wrong, although our connection was fine. And there was no real solid reason for him to leave. So I bless him now. I mean, we're friends. But I always thought about how hard it must have been for him not to feel like, why am I not able to make this move? Is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with her? But I remember when we even talked about it, him and I, he's like, I have everything. You're pretty, you're intelligent, you're funny, you're good to my friends, you take care of me, blah, blah. He's like listing them to me. And I'm looking at him like this. I'm like, yeah, and I know. And, you know, but back then I was so upset. But now, and really to truly come to think of it, anyone could have been in his shoes. It is really hard not to know that someone is not the right person for you, although there's no big reason to leave them. They didn't cheat on you, they didn't hurt you, they didn't break your heart, but there's no big reason to leave them. And evidently, as time passed, I'm so glad that he made that call, because most people end up marrying for wrong reasons, because they've listed a few qualities in somebody. Like, okay, maybe we should get married. But truly, like, he's married now. He lives in New York. He moved there. He has a kid. And he has a different life, different perspective on life. I have a completely different one now. We're on different career paths. I mean, I was in finance when I was with him. It was like a huge shift. And I'm grateful for the fact that he had the balls to say, I don't know why, but no, I can't. And yeah, it did hurt. But at the end of the day, things happen as they should. And if you're not feeling something because your gut is telling you, no, it's not right, I would listen to that.
I literally feel like that guy.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
My partner literally ticked all the boxes. And I'm like, why? What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
How did you feel at that point when I guess your world was almost turned upside down?
It was devastating. I was devastated.
I imagine there's so many people who are so sure that this is the person who they're going to marry and have children with.
Yeah.
And then it just doesn't work out.
I think I was younger then, so I didn't have a benchmark on what signs were. And now that I have a man that there were clear signs that he wanted to marry me from the very beginning. I know the difference between how my ex was and how my current husband is. The signs are there all the time. You could see them. You're just choosing to ignore them. And with me, my sign was on a table. Every time someone would bring up marriage or dating or something, he'd be like, oh man, marriage is overrated. Or he would like throw in remarks like that. And I would just ignore it. I'm like, okay, why is he saying that? But that's a damn sign. I mean, you wouldn't say that if you don't if you don't believe it's true, or if you wanted to marry someone that's sitting right next to you. When I was really nice to him, like doing a huge holiday for him, I remember I took all of his friends on a trip, and he was uncomfortable. Like he was, it bothered him because I felt like he felt so guilty. Like, why is she so good to me? And I know what my intentions are, and I'm not sure I want to marry her. He was loving, he was sweet, but it was, I mean, he told me at some point he was waking up with panic attacks, sleeping next to me, waking up with panic attacks, worried that, like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on. I'm sweating. Like he just had panic attacks because he knew, almost like he felt guilty, like he knew that he was leading me on and we weren't going to end up married. So I really feel for him that anyone could be in that position. I have friends, girlfriends that are in that position now, and it's a shitty place to be. I feel for them because you don't want to hurt the person you love, but at the same time, you don't want to make a judgment or a call on your own life when you're not sure of that call. So I wouldn't judge people too hard. What I would judge is if you're messing around somebody's back or you're hurting them deliberately. or if you're sure you don't want to be with them, you're cheating on them. My boyfriend at the time never did that. He was really, really loyal. He was very good to me. He's a good man, but it's just not how he felt at the time, you know? Like, granted, I mean, we were a bit younger then. He wasn't that young, but things happen as they should. So I would say, yes, I was devastated. It broke my heart, and it took me a while to come out of it. But actually, it didn't take me a while. I dated fairly quickly after, actually. I know I was shattered and heartbroken for a while, but I think with women, they tend to quickly like find the next guy that, you know, gave them a bit of attention. And I did have another boyfriend after him for a short while. He was single for a stretch. He was single for like 2 years.
The type of person who just likes to be in a relationship.
No, actually, that's what happened. I dated that one guy for 3 months, and then that was it. And I was single for like 4 years, 5 years. And I knew, because when I broke up with that guy of 3 months, I was also devastated after the breakup. And then I realized, damn, this is the pattern that women go through. They end up going from guy to guy. I mean, luckily I stopped on the second guy. I dated him. He was lovely. He was also very sweet. But, you know, when you're not healed and you're not comfortable and confident by yourself, there's no way you can give properly in a relationship. It's just impossible. And they can sense it. So you end up finding yourself in this this rat race of relationships where you're picking the same type of guy for the high at the very beginning, and then the neediness kicks in because you forget who you are. You forget that you know how to be alone, and you know how to be single, and you are confident, and you have your own likes, and you just end up dating one after the other and say, why am I always in this situation? So after that second guy, my friend woke me up to me. She's like, oh, Trace, look, this is what girls usually do. We shouldn't be doing this. So I honestly put an end to any relationship. That was the last guy I dated after. So it was him, the guy, and then single for a stretch. And it was the best period for me. Because when you're single for a stretch, you no longer want to date. If you're single and confident, you feel so damn good. You feel like on top of the world. You sleep not caring to check your phone if someone messaged or called, or you don't have an anxiety towards, you know, like, is he going to call? Is he going to message? It was such a liberating place to be. And I'm like, I don't want to date. I'm so happy to be in this situation right now. So
yeah, I think that can be daunting for a lot of people. I have some friends, both male and female, who just hate the idea of being single. And I just can't understand that, because once you do get to the point where you're fully comfortable with being single,
there's nothing
it's literally
like it.
the best feeling ever. I mean, of course, sometimes it can get lonely, but usually if you are a pretty successful person and you have a half decent personality, it's not hard to find somebody to hang out with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it just means that you have that much higher standards.
Yeah.
So that when somebody's coming into your life, if they are actually somebody who can make your life even better and support you, then okay, that's a good indication that maybe you should give this a shot.
You know what happens when you're not confident and comfortable being single? You end up picking randoms, and I'm talking for men and women. I'm not speaking exclusively about women not giving up their energy in that way. I also very highly suggest for men not to give up their energy in that way to any person that's just like a woman for the night, because energy is exchanged very loosely these days. And even for men, when you allow that energy in your body, let's be a bit like a graphic, but it's true. When you allow that energy over and over and over again, and it's energy from anyone, you don't know what she's been doing, where she's been, and what her intentions are, what her energy is, what's her soul like, and then you're sharing intimacy with that person. It can be very it can take a huge toll on yourself as a man, on your mind, on your discipline, and it's not worth that exchange. I mean, I definitely will not suggest it's only for women. People always say women shouldn't sleep around, women shouldn't, and you're right, women shouldn't in that sense, because they take an emotional toll. It takes a big emotional toll on them, but it builds like almost like a rock, like a shield in men when they're going for one bad energy after the other. And it makes you dark from inside. I mean, someone that explained this to me was my husband. He had said this to me about himself, that there was a point where he didn't care. He was just hooking up with random people, and he didn't like who he was. There was a part of him that kind of feels
sleazy.
You feel dirty. Truly, like his soul, his energy felt dirty, not because he's like a OCD guy, but I mean, he just didn't like that feeling of just one after the other. So at some point he was single for a stretch, and he did not hook up with anyone. Like, he's like, I would go like a month and I wouldn't hook up with anybody because I didn't want to give my energy in that way to somebody random. But then he'd find a cool girl, a decent girl who he can have jokes with and laugh with, and she's fun and she's light and he can have a good conversation with. And he's like, yeah, okay, I can hook up with this girl for a month or two. That's fine. But why the rotation? That rotation could really take a toll on your character, I think.
It's pretty damn time consuming as well.
Yeah. I mean,
you try to juggle like 5-6 skills at the same time. It's not ideal if you're trying to progress with your business.
Yeah, that too. Exactly.
What's your thoughts on women being attracted to bad boys? Like, why does this seem to be such a common thing? And this seems to be this pattern of women complaining about these guys who are the bad boys, but they know that they're bad boys, so surely they know what they're getting themselves into. I feel like this is something more so when women are in their 20s, and then as they get a little bit older, they get sick and tired of that bullshit, and they come into their 30s and they're like, yeah, I've had enough dealing with these fuck boys.
Yeah.
But what is that initial attraction to them in the first place?
I think it's the same thing. I mean, why do you go for the abusive relationship, let's say? It's because that's what familiar is. Why do you go for the narcissist over and over again? Because that's what familiar is. And whether it is comfortable or not, people find comfort in familiarity, even if it is bad familiarity. So if that was what you were familiar with because your parent was a narcissist or because your ex-boyfriend was a bad boy, and it kind of showed you what love looks like. Love looks like pain and gaslighting and fighting all the time. And, he's cheating on you, but your heart's broken and there's this whole drama around it. But then there's passionate sex after that. There's like the cycle of what love looks like. And people keep going back to what's familiar. And unless you have the mindset to say I need to break past what's familiar and go for what's right for me. It's not about 20s or 30s. You have 40-year-old women still chasing bad boys till this very day because that's the cycle that they're used to. I don't think it's anything more than that. They just think that that's what love is. You have to really break that cycle to realize what love truly means. And love is peace. It's such a peace and ease of mind. I mean, I joke with my husband, like when we talk to our single friends and they're like telling us about the drama in their life, I'm like, I don't know how I used to do that. Like, I don't have the mental capacity to have that over and above all of the difficult stuff I have to do for my work and all of the struggles of life. Imagine me thinking about whether a guy called me or not, and he's a bad boy and he slept with somebody else. Like, I would die. Like, there's no way I have the mental capacity for it now, because I learned and I know now that love is peace and love is calm. And it's just, it's understanding, it's a friendship, it's a partnership. There should be no room for drama. And as long as drama is there, it's not on them, but it's on your energy attracting that drama. So you have to sort that out. That energy needs to be cleared for you to realize maybe I'm the constant here. It's not them. I'm the constant when I'm getting the same guys over and over again.
You think in today's world that women have unrealistically high standards of what their partner should be? Or do you think it's actually healthy for them to have those high standards? Because I've noticed a lot of the time when women would list exactly what their ideal man would be, and sometimes I would see that and I just think that this is literally, you are describing a man that either doesn't exist or he's like in the 0.0001% of the male population.
Yeah. I guess it's subjective, because what's high standard or a high value man to me could be very different to what's high value man to somebody else.
What was it for you? I
would say solid partner, someone with values and morals, someone who's funny and he makes light of situations. He knows how to manage my emotions. He's a good partner. That's all under a good partner. That's number one priority. Now, if money's there or money's not there, that could be worked on later. If I have an ambitious guy who knows what he's doing and he's smart, do I care if the money comes in 10 years or if the money is here now? I don't care, because I'm equally as intelligent and ambitious. I'm not where I want to be financially, personally. I have much bigger ambitions. Would I want, if I were a man, a woman to think of me as, to think less of me because I didn't win the game of making millions in my 20s? I mean, if I have the stamina and the mental strength and the ambition for it, my time could be later. And if I'm going to choose a partner as a man, I want that partner to know that we could build together. I'm not for men being lazy or not being ambitious, or, I mean, that's a turn off, of course. But if you have the bare minimum of someone that has a strong mind, and you have values and you have principles, like these things that we talked about under partnership in terms of your relationship. I mean, what are we asking for now? We want the handbags, and we want cars, and do we want tall, and do we want blue eyes, and do we want this? Like, are we really gonna put this on the priority list? I mean, it doesn't have to be. You can't have everything, like you said.
I've heard a lot of guys complain about some of the unrealistic, or in their opinion, unrealistic standards which women have, but then I look at those
like
guys.
What would you say?
Just I look at the guys that are saying that, and I'm like, if I was a woman, I wouldn't want to date you. Like you're lazy, you're not ambitious, you're not working on yourself, you look like shit. Like you're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
So,
but that all comes under. You see what I mean? If you have a care for yourself, and if you respect yourself and you respect the people around you, I think you take care of all these elements. Like yourself, you're not lazy, whether it's physically or whether it's mentally. You're working hard. I mean, those are good criteria to marry somebody. Everything else is just an add-on, you know? I mean, people talk about the aesthetics. Obviously, you don't want to date someone that's not attractive, but there's some things that women ask for. I mean, name your list. Listen, what I've heard of what women want, there's a certain budget that I mean, when we're talking about people with high standards, there's just a certain budget in terms of how much they want to be spent on, the gifts that they want, the trips that they want. I mean, all these things are all monetary stuff. Plus, I want to go out every weekend. I don't want to miss a single party. I want to do this. I want to have fun. I want to travel all the time. I mean, what is all this compared to a high value man in terms of his health, his fitness, his intelligence, his ambition, his dreams? What are the others? They're nothing. They'll come and go, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys, and I think this is particularly in the UK. I've noticed is this, even my old friendship group and a lot of people who I used to spend time with, they just didn't really seem to be that bothered about pushing forward. They were very content with just keeping things the way that they were. And that was one of the reasons why I was like, I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Like these aren't my people. Which was difficult because, you know, some of these people that you spent years with and you had great memories with them, and they're your boys at the end of the day, it's very difficult to progress with your career and self-development if they're not on the same level. And you just got to go off and you got to find those people. That's one of the hardest things. So a lot of people ask me now, like, how have you been able to, you know, surround yourself with like-minded people and find the friendship groups that you have today? And it's just it's taken a lot of work to find them and to get to that point. Even when I first moved to Dubai, I remember I didn't know anyone. A lot of people said to me, like, why are you going to Dubai? And I was like, I don't know. I just have a feeling that it's going to be a good move for me. And it took me probably like 2 years to find like a really solid group of friends.
Yeah.
There was a lot of business relationships, companionships, you know, from obviously going to the gym. I had all like my circle of people that were there in the gym, but it didn't really feel like it was genuine. I think a lot of people would probably just look at me and see like, oh, the social media following this and that, and want to become friends with me for the wrong reasons.
All right. Look, with changing your circle, I think it's absolutely essential that your friends are not who your friends were from when we were kids. On a day-to-day basis, I mean, the chances for everybody in your class or everybody back home to also be entrepreneurial, have a strong mindset, to be very ambitious, to want to change and elevate their life is quite low. There's few and far in between. number of people that actually choose that life. Most of the people just cruise through life. So if we're friends, if we're all friends with whoever we were friends with, doing the exact same stuff over and over again, same jokes, same lifestyle, same parties, same conversation, same school jokes, that's what I surround myself with every single day, then I'm not going to be able to elevate or change in any shape or form. You have to kind of pair it with a friendship that is towards someone that you want to be like. If you're looking at your five group of friends, your five friends from your circle, and you don't want to be like any of them, you shouldn't be hanging out with them every single day. That's no disrespect to them. You can go back home on holidays and hang out with them and party and have a good time, but they shouldn't be on your phone calls and on your speed dial your whole life. How are you going to ever have how are you going to have the ambition to want to do better or understand how to do better if people around you are not teaching you? You kind of want to do what the people around you are doing. I mean, I don't know any rich man that all of his friends are poor. I mean, unless he's kind of like taking them under his wing, but they mostly hang out with each other because they speak the same language now. So I don't think there's any shame in saying I outgrew old friendships. They would have outgrown you too. Who knows? I mean, it's not like you think you're better than them, but you're different and it's okay to be different. And if you're going back home and they're judging you, which is more important, if you go back home and those friends are like, oh yeah, sorry, Tracy, you're an influencer now. I forgot. Or, oh yeah, we can't say anything because Tracy is an influencer. You have one shot at saying that. You have the second shot at saying that. Say it one more time and I cut you out of my life because I know that you have no interest in my growth and you have no interest in your growth. So the people that actually matter are the ones that are interested in your growth or want to grow with you, want to watch your growth too. And if you have someone putting that stop or hating on the fact that you've changed, there's a problem there, and you can filter.
Do you think women have a harder time
with
finding
this? Friends?
a solid group of friends?
Women?
Yeah, because I feel like they're more competitive with each other.
So I got, honestly,
a lot of fakery.
Yeah, but that's why I was just going to say I got so damn lucky because my three best friends from school have each blown up in their own way, and all three of us are still best friends because they have grown tremendously in their mindsets, in their career, in their likes, and then the rest, who were all from like classmates and stuff, are probably still where they were, which is why I have lost touch with everybody. But I got lucky because those friends, we all have very big dreams. We're all very ambitious and we're good to each other. And there's nothing like having an old friendship if we're all growing together. But in terms of men and women, actually, I think it's easier for men to find a circle than for women to find a circle. And I think men are more interested in the boys than women are interested in the girls. I have to say, like, I can go 2 weeks without seeing my girlfriends, 3 weeks. I mean, once a month, I was like, guys, it's been a while. Let's all go catch up. We'll hang out at someone's house, watch a movie. But my husband, like twice a week, he wants to be with the boys, whether it's he's playing FIFA with the boys or he wants to go and play cards with the boys or something. Like he likes to see his guys. It's a thing with men.
It's like a therapy session.
It's
especially
like a therapy
if you have a solid group of guys who are all doing well, all like smashing it in business. You know, just going to them, spending time with them, you either bounce ideas off each other or you maybe discuss with them some issues you might be having, some problems you might be having, which you could equally share that with your partner. But sometimes I feel as though it can be best to just first discuss it with the guys, and see what their input is, and then you can kind of be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, and then that problem is resolved. Because I know myself, like I have a few businesses. There's a lot of pressure and stress sometimes, and it becomes overwhelming. And I don't want to be the type of guy that goes to my partner and complain about everything, because I don't want that or me to come across as being weak or complaining or being in a position where I don't have everything under control, because maybe my partner might start to doubt me, or maybe she just doesn't want to hear about my problems. So I would much prefer to go hang out with the boys and unleash and unload those problems or concerns I have with them, and then they can, you know, give me their honest advice, and it can be very sort of
like a filter.
Yeah, reassuring and calming, and then you can go back to your partner and like everything's good. If you want to share with them, you can, but I feel like there's certain things you should talk to them about and certain things you shouldn't. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
I'm trying to think. I think you're wrong. I'm joking. You're just wrong. No, I'll tell you what I think. Firstly, I'm all for the thing with the boys. And I see it in my, like, he lights up. He likes being with the guys. And whether it's talking business ideas, you know, just joking around, it almost gives him a boost for the week. He likes it. Now, he hangs out in their houses. They chill. They go out, whatever. They do like a rice and lamb, you know, on the floor. They just sit together and they have a good time. They chill and they do fun things together. It's not like let's go party and clubbing with the guys. It's a very different kind of intention. If your intention is I'm hanging out with the boys because I feel like catching up over cards, he does it every single week. I don't need that. That's not my fix. I don't need the girls every week. But I know they're there all the time. I could speak to them on the phone if I need to, but I don't have that need. But when it comes to speaking to your partner and worrying, I mean, this is also concerning for some men because, firstly, I don't think anybody should be okay with venting. Let's start there. It is not fair. I mean, I protect my energy a lot that way. I don't like people to vent to me. You can tell me about your problem. I can walk you through it. I could give you my advice. But if you're coming to complain and to vent, then that's when you're sucking my energy. I don't need to hear it. I'm happy to give you solid and sound advice when you need it because I'll be a good friend to you or I'll be a good partner to you. But if it's complaining and venting, there's a problem there. That means you don't respect my energy and my space and you're not worried or concerned about what I'm going through. What's more important for you is not to find a solution, but to complain and to be heard over and over again on a broken record speaking about the same thing. I don't accept it from my parents. I don't accept it from my siblings. I don't accept it from my friends. I don't accept it from my partner. And I think in general, if you have that care for yourself, then you shouldn't be doing it to anybody else. But if you have that self-control, then coming to someone with a problem becomes so light and easy. And it's absolutely essential as a partner to listen to your husband if he has a work problem, if he doesn't know what's going on, if he's hitting a wall. You shouldn't feel the need to go to somebody else and not come to your partner for it. What you should be worried about is complaining and venting and losing control. Maybe that's a bit more of a thing to be concerned of, but there's nothing to be concerned about if you want to share with your life partner how you're feeling about a business situation or a deal you lost. You know, to regroup yourself and with them and with yourself. I mean, I've been through situations where I hit a wall and I don't know what I'm doing. Sometimes I'd cry. As a woman, I'm more emotional than my husband. I tell him, like, I'm worried. I don't know what. Then he'd be like, Trace, don't forget who you are. We talked about this. You may have lost this deal. It's okay. You'll get the next one. He'll kind of coach me through it. I'll let it go. But if I'm going to say, yeah, but nothing ever happens for me and I don't know why this is going on. And if I'm just complaining, he doesn't need to hear it. He doesn't need to hear it. And let alone if it's the other way around. A man is supposed to lead and to protect and to provide. And he also has to have control, but it doesn't mean that he should be afraid to talk to his partner and needs to make the choice to filter it through someone else first. I don't think that's necessary. You could easily have the comfort to speak to your partner about it. And if your partner doesn't want to hear it, and like you said, doesn't think your problems are worth listening to, there's a problem there. I would never think my husband's problem is not worth my time. I'd be so grateful that he came to me first.
What are your thoughts on this? 'Cause I've noticed now that there's this trend where men are being encouraged to speak more about how they're feeling and their emotions and to share their emotions, which I don't disagree with, but I think there's a fine line between going too far with that and being
what does too far mean?
Just being too emotional all the time with your partner, or whether it be on social media. If you're constantly talking about how you're feeling and oversharing, that's off-putting, in my opinion. And I would say I'm probably not the best at communicating my emotions and feelings. That's something which I'm working on. But I'm fairly sure that if I was to start doing that too much, my partner or whoever I'd be seeing would be like, get a hold of yourself. Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah. Look, I think there's an essence to things and there's an instinct. And by nature, men are more logical, men are leaders, and men are more structured, better at providers. They're better visionaries. And women are better CEOs, whether it's CEO of the house, whether it's, getting things done, execution. But at the same time, they have a strong sense of emotion. And this is generally, by the essence, this is how they are. So naturally speaking, if it's the other way around and men become much more emotional and have their heart on the sleeve all the time and they don't have control over their emotions, I mean, I guess that's where I think the point is, like, you're talking about overly having your heart on your sleeve. Is that what you mean by?
Just imagine I wake up and I feel sad.
Hmm.
And then I come to you if I'm in a relationship with my partner, I come to them like, oh, I'm feeling really sad today. I feel like...
No, I don't think that's a problem. I think we're not on the same wavelength. If your husband tells you, I'm feeling very sad today, okay, it depends what you're saying. You're not going to cry in my nook and then tell me you're sad. But if, like, the way it would work, I would say, is like if my husband's a bit off or pissy during the day and I'm like, babe, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. And he just brushes it off. I'm fine. I'm okay. Nothing's wrong. If I insist, I'm like, dude, what's going on? Like, you're kind of off. He's like, Trace, I'm just having a bad day. I'll deal with it. He does that. Now, later on, if I approach him and I ask him, tell me what's going on, he's like, look, I'm kind of pissed because so-and-so happened. That's a way to do it. But there's another version where you're just like, I'm so sad. Baby, I don't know what to do. Take care of me. And if there's that version, okay, just no. But it's okay to be able to tell someone in a manly way, if we're going to put it in that way, that something's wrong with you. You should be comfortable, I think, to say those things. But there's, like you said, you want your men to be men. Yeah. In the most non-toxic way possible. Let's really not be dramatic, everybody, with this whole everything's toxic masculinity now. So there's men need to be men, and the women like attractive. Women find men who are manly attractive. I don't know a single woman in my life who likes a man not to be manly and says, I love it when he's...
What if they're super masculine?
But what's super masculine? Because there's manly, which, what, again, it's subjective.
Just
what does
having
manly
masculine
mean?
traits. Because I remember I dated someone once who was not very similar to me, but she could just tell she wanted to be the boss. She wanted to take control.
It's a woman's masculine.
Yeah,
okay.
And I think this was the first time I experienced something like this. And we were clashing, like, a lot.
Yeah.
And it was confusing me because we had such a good connection and we got along really well. But the traits were just, it was clashing with each other. I was like, hang on, this person needs to be with someone who's probably more in touch with their feminine side.
She won't be attracted to him.
Exactly. So this woman is just doomed, really.
I'll tell you what she was doing. It's very obvious to me. First of all, how long did you date her for?
It lasted for a couple of months.
Okay, exactly my point. So
couldn't handle it.
Women are very good at putting up a shield, and they could keep up that shield for, I would say, maximum of 6 months. There's that, I could protect myself. I'm tough. I'm strong, because she has probably dealt with a lot that made her put that shield up to protect herself from another heartbreak, from more pain, from putting her survival mode on to make sure that she's got this. She has to go work by herself. No one's paying for her. She doesn't have a partner that she can offload off of. No one was attending to her emotions for quite some time. So she's kind of like, I'm not going to give that up. And I think women tend to look like that and have their masculine energy really protrude well into a relationship, because at the very beginning, men tend to be very emotional in relationships. They chase more, they want you more, they give you more attention and affection than you would give them. Especially
if you're like head over heels.
Yeah, exactly. But then when a woman ends up putting that shield down, believe me, if enough time had passed and she was in love with you and that shield came down, she would be so relaxed and comfortable in her feminine energy if she felt like, I trust that this guy is going to now protect and provide for me and take care of me, not monetarily, but I mean in terms of like, she's mine now. And you make her feel safe and you make her feel soft. If you weren't doing that and it was very like mechanical relationship, but it was all banter and fun, she's going to continue to be this rigid, harsh woman because she doesn't want to get hurt. Yeah. She's going to continue to put that shield up and show you that she's the boss and she's no woman wants to be the boss at home. I mean, very rarely will you find that. Most women want to feel like they can just relax and let you lead and let you provide and let you be, you know, comfortable to take charge. And they can do whatever they're doing in the world. You know, they can work hard and stuff, but they want to come home to a man, to someone that makes them feel like, I've got you, you know? And as much as you protect yourself as a woman, there will come a man that will allow you to release that protection and to kind of feel like, now I can go back into my feminine energy. So if you're dating with banter and randomly and there's no real connection or next step, that woman is going to continue to have that shield up. I think if enough time passed, then she probably would have dropped it. No woman could keep that up forever.
Yeah. I'll tell you who you should really have on your podcast, Mo Gaudat. Do you know who he is?
Mo Gaudat?
Mo Gaudat.
Who's that?
He's written a couple of books. He's been on my podcast, probably like one of the smartest guys I've had on my podcast.
Really?
Yeah. I'll try and
connect us. I would love to. What does he talk about? Relationships?
Everything. No, he used to work at Google. He was like very high up in Google, made loads of money.
Okay.
And then he got very much into happiness.
Okay.
So he wrote a book on happiness, and then he's also very much into artificial intelligence. So he's like,
I love it,
doing everything. But he said something very interesting. I'm wondering what your thoughts would be on this. He was asked, what's the one thing that he would change in the world today to make our world better? And he said, let's balance hyper masculinity with more femininity. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's spot on. It's actually very true. Yeah. I mean, I think we have this whole like gender politics happening right now. Feminism is not what it used to be. Women have the worst end of the deal of this agreement, where they're pushing to do everything. I can do it all, boss babe. I don't need no man. I can sleep with whoever I want, and no one can say anything about it. I can put my body online, and no one can say anything about it. How are you winning here? I mean, how is that a win for women? So losing that sense of like femininity, where it's okay for you to stay in your feminine energy. You don't need to do it all. It's okay for us to balance men and women, you know, having the right energy kind of intertwined, or be in the presence of the right energy. And I think the more we shift towards that, men are being put off like hell as well, and saying, dude, I mean, what's wrong with women? Women suck nowadays. You know, we don't relate to them at all. We're against them. We don't compliment them anymore. And you're actually creating more and more of the bad, toxic, masculine, the toxic masculinity of, let's just go through one woman after the other because they all suck now. They don't see women as like gems or precious anymore. And it's only because we have really fought to not only make women look like they can do everything alone, but also that we don't need any man to be a part of our lives, and we can have kids on our own and do things by ourselves. Yeah, we can. But these situations are supposed to be for the occasion where you were unlucky and you couldn't find a relationship. It's not to eliminate men because we have to do everything by ourselves. I think it's really created a shitty world in that sense, where we're losing who we are. We're losing who we are.
I think in particular, I don't know who's got it worst, but I feel like guys in their 20s, guys in their early 20s have a pretty rough time, because I think women who are a similar age to them, they're not looking to date guys in their early 20s. They're looking to date guys in their later 20s, early 30s. In particular, guys at that age range usually don't have a huge amount to offer. They're still figuring life out. They don't have a huge amount of money. Probably don't have the skill set or the life experience, and it's pretty rough for them.
But I think it's a natural evolution of life. Women mature much faster than men since we're teenagers. Men are still boys at a certain age when women have the mental capacity to have a conversation with older men. So when you're 18, 19, 20, and then you're dating guys that are 25, it's natural. I think it's normal. And it's up to those boys at that age to date girls that are a little younger, or maybe some girls that are their age, but they'll get there. I don't think that's the problem with women wanting to date older men when they're starting to become walk into adulthood. I think the bigger problem is having expectations of those 20-year-olds in specific to have a certain lifestyle or to have a certain thing for them to be accepted in society or to be part of, like, to have a relationship with. Those guys can find girls just as, I mean, if my boyfriend and not my boyfriend, my husband and I are almost the same age. He's a year older than me. And at my age, I was dating guys that were 8 years older than me, and he was dating girls that were 3 years younger than him. So I think that's absolutely natural. It's just, don't put pressure on yourself to have to do everything. I mean, now we have like guys like you talking about like building and becoming and you know, having your shit together, and I think it's quite important for men to follow. But also, I worry that men may also find that a bit too, and I need to do everything right now, like the Andrew Tate community. I have to do everything right now at 18 years old. I have to be right now a man at 18 years old. And we should also kind of lay off a bit. Although I do like Andrew's message, to be honest. I mean, a lot of people hate on Andrew Tate. I think he's awesome. He has some very smart things that he says, and it's quite spot on. And it's a very good example for men in many ways. But I just think that sometimes it is a bit too much for men to handle, that it's not only women putting that pressure on them, it's men putting pressure on them too, that they have to do everything right now. And you don't need to have everything figured out at 18 and 21 and 24, you know?
Yeah. I think those are the years where you kind of need to go out and explore and see the world.
How old are you?
I'm 33.
33. In your 20s, were you anywhere near where you are now?
No.
Okay.
I feel I matured early, but I did travel, but I would have liked to have traveled more. There's a few things which, I mean, of course, I'm happy for everything that has happened, the good and the bad, because it's got me to where I am today. But I think a lot of the decisions which I made, I would have preferred to have just made them sooner, so I could have been a little bit further ahead. I think that I stayed in the UK for far too long. I mean, I was living there up until, it wasn't until I was 29 years old where I was like,
oh, wow,
maybe I should get out of here. I would have definitely preferred to have just had some periods throughout my life in my mid-20s, later 20s, just living in different countries for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
Because you learn so much about different cultures and just putting yourself in a potentially uncomfortable situation. It's way too easy, like, especially if you start doing all right financially, you just get way too comfortable.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to be like, okay, yeah, how about you go try exist here and form a life for yourself here?
I mean,
then I read somewhere that one of your biggest regrets was that you didn't travel more when you were in your 20s.
I was actually just going to say, I also felt that I mean, I was stuck working here in corporate, so obviously I don't have the leeway to travel. But I do regret not having done college abroad, like do the college life, or to go traveling for a year. But I never found a window to do that. It's hard. I mean, I had to.
It costs money.
It costs money. I mean, who's going to pay for my rent? Who's going to pay for? I need to survive, right? So I had to work. So the best I could do was snippets of trips back and forth when I was in finance. I traveled a lot. Like, I did a lot of traveling, but my travel was like 4 days and come back, 5 days and come back.
It's very different if you go somewhere for a week or less compared to going somewhere
and living
for
with the culture
months.
there. Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people that, for example, they come to Dubai and they're like, I don't know how you live in Dubai. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's because you literally went out every single day.
Exactly.
Like, you have no idea what it's like to actually just chill and have some sort of a normal existence here.
True. It's different. So, I mean, it's really up to, I mean, I don't think anything is wasted time, and things happen for a reason, but I also don't think that we should all be in a rush. We all live like this. I'm pretty sure you still do and I still do, but I wish I did this sooner, or I want to get here at this point in time. But as time goes by, you realize when you look back that things pan out as they should. There's a reason why you didn't leave the UK when you were 29. Maybe you should have been there for a specific reason, and maybe your opportunities were only going to be there when you came to Dubai at 30. If you came at 20, you'd probably be hanging out at Barasti bar, having like a $2 beers because you couldn't survive something. I don't know. But I think things happen as they should.
Well, even now, there is, I'm surrounded by all these really driven, successful people, and there's so much wealth all around me. You can get caught up into just being completely obsessed about making more and more and more and more money. But I feel like one of my strengths has always been finding a balance. Like, I have never been too caught up in that, and I've always really enjoyed having my time to myself, leisure time, traveling, just being like, yeah, everything's going well. Of course, I could literally just constantly work all day, every day. But I'm like, nah, I'm going to go away for a week.
Yeah.
And just, see the world. Like just being in Japan for 3 weeks. And that was like one of the coolest things I've ever done. Like it was coming back from that trip and reflecting upon it. I just was so happy because I was like, that was such a cool experience. And it just ticked all the boxes that the perfect trip could possibly tick.
Yeah.
So I understand that even right now, like for me, this is prime time for me. And I'm not going to hide away and just work my ass off just so I could make more millions. I want to fucking enjoy this.
I completely agree with that. I was literally just having this conversation with my husband on our last trip that we have the option to be much more mobile, to travel, to work from abroad. We're both working online right now, so we don't need to be at the desk every time in Dubai. And we should leverage off of that. We can't just say, okay, I mean, we're in our prime, like we said, and we don't have kids yet as well. We're like, dude, what are we doing? We should be really out and about, traveling more and working abroad, when I couldn't do that in my 20s. And we kind of have a plan for that for the next couple of years, that maybe we're not going to be in Dubai all the time, working our ass off. You can work on the beach, you can work while you're traveling. I mean, at least for me, I could do that remotely and I don't need to be here all the time. So it's nice to have, your priorities. What are they this year? Travel would be one of them for me.
Yeah. I mean, for this year in particular, I want to have fun, and I just want to try and collect as many experiences as possible, because the time flies by. I remember my dad always used to say this to me. He's like 1 second you're 20 years old, then you'll be 30, then you'll be 40, like bam, it's over. Yeah. So appreciate it. So that's definitely something which I want to do. But of course, I have my own personal goals with the business, with the podcast, everything else. So it's having the balance, and then making sure that when I'm here in Dubai, I do allocate that time to trying to be as efficient as possible when it comes to doing work, like not getting distracted, just doing the thing which I need to do. And then, okay, when you've hit that goal or whatever target you had, then you can, just go off for a week or so.
Like delayed gratification.
Yeah.
It works with everything.
I've got a lot of friends who have it the complete opposite way around. Like they like to have the fun before they've done the work. And
I practice delayed gratification almost with everything, because I feel like it builds the muscle of delayed gratification. So I won't have coffee before 10 a.m. Even if I wake up at 6 and I'm dead tired, 10 a.m. I'll have coffee.
Are you doing that because you don't want that afternoon crash?
No, because it just sets a discipline. I mean,
it's really, I've tried it. It's so hard to do that.
It's tough, but I do it on purpose because I know that it's a bit of a reward that I waited till 10 o'clock. I don't have coffee after 12, let's say. Let's say sweets. I would not, when I put the discipline in place, I'll say after 6 p.m., if I'm not on a cut, after 6 p.m., I can have my first dark chocolate or whatever. Before 6 p.m., even if I'm craving, I'm like, I have this rule. It's 6 p.m. and then it's a delayed gratification. I have to do deep work in the morning so that I can make sure that I could get something later. And if you do little small things, it becomes almost like a habit. It doesn't take so much effort. But I think with that, it also puts that structure for you in place. Like you can travel when you finish a project, when you hit a certain milestone or a goal. It's nice. It's almost like you feel like you're rewarding yourself all the time.
You're really testing yourself by starting an ice cream company.
Dude, you're telling me. At some point, I was all over the place with ice cream. And then we had to do tastings and all of this stuff. And I was eating every single day. I'm like, nah, man, I can't do this myself.
How did this start?
I got approached, my husband and I got approached by old friends, asked us if we could create this business with them because their mother in COVID started cooking this ice cream in London. Her husband's Lebanese and he was missing the taste of home, and the ice cream business are Arabic flavors. So she started cooking the recipe at home. She kind of nailed one of them. She asked somebody to help teach her another one. She nailed it. She started selling door to door, like smuggling boxes of ice cream door to door in COVID on her street. And her son basically lives in Dubai with his wife and took the recipes, started doing the same thing here, kind of started giving their friends in the community in Arabian ranches. And then they approached us and said, look, we have this amazing recipe, but we want to make it a brand. And you and your husband are branding, you know, everything about marketing and branding and network. So how do we blow this up? We literally revamped the whole thing. We did the whole branding, the story. We pushed it across all of our network. And now we did the operations. We're on Deliveroo. And now we're a fully run 5 Arabic flavor nostalgic ice cream brand called Mama Bouza. Bouza is ice cream in Arabic. So Mama is mother ice cream, which is her, the OG, the woman that actually started it from her home, which is also a great story because she's 60 and it's the first time she's ever had anything to do with like working. And she was always a housewife raising her kids. So she was actually in tears when I brought her over here. We did like a huge event and she gave a speech and she was crying saying, I never thought in a million years that I would be part of a business. Like I'm actually adding this kind of value to my family and giving a legacy to my kids. And I'm so grateful. She was just very, very sweet about it. So
there is an abundance of extremely average ice cream outlets.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Correct.
I've noticed.
You should try mine. I'll send them over so you should try them and let me know what you think.
There's one which will always stand out to me. It was in Mallorca. Have you ever been to Mallorca? In Palma?
Yeah, I have. It's lovely.
I'm going to try and find out what it was, but this ice cream it's more like gelato, I guess.
Okay.
So what's the difference between a gelato ice cream, which is Italian origin, versus...
It's also the creaminess of it. The gelato, it's a bit different. It's
So what's your one like?
Mine is not. Mine is like tubs. I would say like when you order the ice cream tubs, yeah, they're not gelato per se. Gelato would come in big trays and you scoop it out.
Yeah, okay, so it's called Riverino Gelateria. Oh my God.
Heaven.
Yes. This was like one of the only places in the Palma Old Town. There was a queue all day, every day, up until 1 in the morning. 1 in the morning, there was still a queue for it.
Really?
I remember walking past it, like, what the hell is the obsession with this? And I was like, well, of course I have to try it. And I tried it, and it was insane. Yeah. I love it when these places like this they've just mastered the art of it, and they're just true. They just got it down to perfection.
You know what's great? A business that has, especially in F&B, if you have the 5 burgers, the 5 ice creams, the 3 sandwiches that you do, perfect them to the T, and then just
a basic menu.
You don't need to add like 50 options to your menu. If you have those 3 amazing sandwiches next to a club after hours, and people are picking up that sandwich after the club, dude, you can make a killing if you master the 3-4 things. I think that's a new way of people launching their small businesses now in F&B.
Have you tried Blue Pizza?
No, here?
Yeah.
Is it good?
The short rib pizza from Blue Pizza. It's BLU Pizzeria. It's just by Jumeirah in like a very small harbor.
I'll try it. What's your best burger here?
Recently, pickle.
Recently?
Yeah, it changes over time. When I first came here, it was Shake Shack. Then there was this place called Sausage Fabrique, which is the weirdest name ever. But it was more like a place where it sold meats, but they also had a kitchen. And they sold this burger, which was just insane.
Really?
And then that closed down because they were refurbing the kitchen, but it's been closed for like a year now. And then a pickle opened down there. I tried the bacon cheeseburger. Really good. Insane. It's the same thing. Like there's so many burger places to do the most average burger.
Yeah. But there's this one guy that he works in the US. Apparently he's like a big master chef in burgers in the US. And he was here on a like a roadshow or to kind of test the best burgers here because he was thinking of franchising. So he told my friend that he ordered every single burger in Dubai. He was here for that reason, to taste all the burgers. And he found the one place that's apparently amazing. I've never heard of it before, but I'm so down to try it. It's called a Stoner Burger. It's on Deliveroo.
Stoner Burger.
Stoner Burger.
Right, I'm making a note of this.
Stoner. And I haven't tried it, so I wouldn't know. And I checked, and they have like 78 reviews. That's it. But he tried every single burger. Like he went on Deliveroo, ordered every single burger, went to every place he knows in Dubai. And he said this was by far the best.
The place is called Stoner Burger, or the burger's called Stoner Burger?
The place.
All right, well, I have to try that.
I have to try that
And the thing
too.
is as well, I feel like you always have to go to the place if you really want it as fresh as it possibly can be. If you get burger delivered, you notice at the bottom of the bun is usually a bit soggy. Same thing with a pizza. You get pizza delivery, it's usually a bit wet.
Yeah,
like
true.
It has to be fresh. Luckily with ice cream, that's not as much as an
ice cream
issue.
is fine. It's in a tub anyway, and you can put it on a shelf. So
how are you gonna plan to scale that?
We're gonna open hopefully Saudi. That's what we're planning, and we're gonna scale. I mean, we're already in Abu Dhabi. We just launched Abu Dhabi last week, and we're going through supermarkets. That's our next negotiations. We're going to speak to wholesale, to sell on wholesale, not just.
I've heard that's an absolute nightmare.
It is. It's a supply chain world and distribution, but it's how you make money. That can blow up massively if people buy on wholesale, because it's ice cream at the end of the day. I don't need to sell on the spot, and I don't have an expiry date of 3 days. You know, my ice cream can be on the shelf for a year, but it disappears off the shelf in 3 weeks. So we always have to put up. And imagine, instead of selling to the consumer straight away, I sell in bulk to Spinneys or to Waitrose or to that or restaurants. Like we have some restaurants and hotels that approached us. So it could be really good to be able to sell in bulk like that.
Yeah. Is that one of your main focuses?
That's what I'm working on now, yeah.
Yeah. But then the other business you have...
Fifth Kind Productions. It's media, and it's
so you're helping people create content.
Yeah, the team, they do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. There's a lot of people who come here and they're just like, I need somebody to help me film this.
No, it's not for individuals per se. It's for companies. So let's say, I don't know.
That's even better, because then you don't have to deal with extremely unreliable influencers who either don't show up or don't pay.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's for people that want to create big commercial campaigns, whether it's for TV or social media, and they're mainly big companies with bigger budgets. So we do that.
And all of these are businesses with your partner?
Yeah, the ice cream and this are both with my partner. The ice cream we're much more involved in together. He's more involved in the other one. I'm less. I have a less percentage in there. Because he does that day to day.
I always wonder if getting into businesses like that with your partner is a good
what happens
thing.
For divorce? What do we do? When we get there, we'll decide if we ever get there. Hopefully not. But in terms of working with my partner,
not necessarily that, just
working with him.
Yeah, because if you have your time at home together, but then you're spending all this time together in the business as well. It's like do you ever find like it's too much, or it works all right?
Actually, it works fine, because we don't work together on a day-to-day basis. He's working on his stuff, I'm working on my stuff. We have people on the operations doing the day-to-day. So him and I don't have to be working on the ice cream all the hours of the day. We just have our strategy, our input, the marketing structure. And then on a day-to-day, it's other people doing that. But if I had to sit with him like a colleague and work with him every day, I think it won't
arguing
be good.
Over the flavors.
Yeah, and because you're so used to your partner, so you end up like bickering for no reason. Oh, that was such a dumb idea, and then you'd be like, "No, it wasn't dumb. Why is it dumb?" Like, and we end up being so like no filter with each other that it would probably take a toll. So we don't do that. And he's the one running Fifth Kind Productions on a day-to-day, like the agency, and I do my summits and my podcasts and my fitness app on a day-to-day. But we come together for the agency stuff and for Mama Buza, like on a highbrow level, you know.
Definitely keep doing the podcast, because that is, I mean, even for me, the development that I've gone through, my own self-development, the network that I've been able to build, and even just the value that you're providing for people, and the building of my own personal brand has been amazing. It's one of the things that for sure I'll keep doing. And of course, as it keeps growing, it's just like more of an audience that you can advertise the ice cream to.
Yeah, that too.
The official sponsor of the podcast.
Right? I could start sponsoring my own podcast, finally funding. But, the thing with the podcast is that, like you said, I mean, if I'm going to add something as a layer to my business, I always think of how could it help me in future? And I've gotten a lot of good speaker event opportunities on the back of my podcast, which I love to do. I mean, I love to be part of summits and speaker events. So nothing goes to waste, which is something I wanted to make a point that if something's not making you full-on money today and it's going to take a long time or some work for you to build, there's a lot of value outside of monetary value that comes from different things. And podcasting to me right now is that. And then only in due course did I manage to see money, maybe not from the podcast per se, just a few episodes I've had sponsored, but in other things, in all the speaker events I get invited to, I get paid for them.
And Have you always been very well spoken, or did you ever have a fear of being on camera?
I think we all were uncomfortable on camera pre-Instagram. I don't know. I never spoke to a camera before. It was a bit awkward. But I always had a strong personality, so I don't think I was good, because if I look at my old videos, I was quite weird on camera.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, you live and learn, right?
Some of the videos I put up in 2016, I was like, wow.
What happened there?
Even the first podcast I did, because you're doing something completely new.
My first
and you're
episode,
like, wow,
I was
I am an imposter right now. Like, I don't have a fucking clue what I'm doing, but here we go.
You're telling me, I mean, in my first few episodes, I remember thinking of the question I want to ask. Did I get all the right questions? Not even hearing the guest's answer, because I was so worried about the next question I want to ask. And you forget to turn it into a conversation. But I do believe that people are forgiving online. Like, we all think that we want the perfect product. We cannot make a single mistake. People forget. They don't give a shit. You make a mistake on your first podcast, they'll correct it on the second one. And in due course, brands have revamped and changed who they are completely, and people are buying into them like Crocs. You know, so why can't you do that with just getting a little bit better at a skill, even if you're doing it publicly, you know?
Yeah. Do you have any role models? People that you either look up to now, or people that you looked up to in your 20s?
I don't have role models. I never did. Every time someone asked me that question at school,
Just
I'd panic. Like, am I supposed to say Princess Diana? I don't know what am I supposed to say. But I have some people that really inspire me now. Like, I like a little bit of what she's doing. I like a little bit of what he's doing. And I realize that you can't reinvent the wheel. If you want to follow those footsteps, kind of try to see how they've done it so that you could do it in your way. I have some people like that, like Cody Sanchez. I like her a lot. I don't know if you know her. She's based in the US and she's clever, she's witty, and she knows what she's talking about when it comes to investments in small businesses. So I kind of like her strategy on her social channels, how she launched her podcast, what she's turned her investment banking career into. That on that angle, she inspires that part for me. Then again, I like something that inspires me is Mind Valley, and in general, for the purpose of bringing education to people. And I know that I try to do this with my podcast. So I think, how can I do that in my own way? Maybe create a summit, maybe create a wellness festival once in a while. Who's doing it best? So I get inspired by who's doing it best in certain industries, so I can put my own thing together. But a role model, like one person, I don't have that.
Well, I think you're doing a very good job of being a role model for the younger generation, particularly women.
Thank you.
So I think there's a lot of female influencers who've built a big following that I don't necessarily agree with their messaging. So you're doing an amazing job.
I appreciate that.
Would you give one piece of advice that you give to women who are in their 20s?
You need to find your confidence first in order to maneuver through life. And the only way to find confidence is not demanding attention, demanding for someone's respect. It's to earn it, to get good at a skill, to be well read, if you can, to be well traveled. And when you have that confidence, then your decision making becomes so much clearer. You choose your relationship so much better. You are happy to say no, happy to set boundaries. And I think that's the best way to navigate through life.
Great answer. Very good. Where can people find you on social media?
Tracy Harmoush everywhere. YouTube, Tracy Harmoush, or What They Don't Tell Us podcast. And that's it.
And the app, is that catered more for females or males?
I have most of them are female on the app, but there's some men on my app too.
Feels weird talking about someone else's app when I'm trying to promote my app, but
but I'm sure your trainers, who trains with you, men or women mainly?
It's mostly men, but I'm starting to release more female programs because they felt like they were getting a bit left out. Yeah. So, yeah. And where can people find your ice cream?
Mama Booza, you can find it on Deliveroo.
Do you have stores, or is it just...
No, it's on Deliveroo now. And we're hopefully launching on a second aggregator. But right now, Deliveroo, Dubai, and Abu Dhabi. And hopefully the rest of the world. I'll be back here when it's around the world.
Awesome. I can't wait to try it.
I'm going to send them over, actually.
Sunday.
I'll send them to you on Sunday, to your doorstep. You'll have them delivered here.
Thank you very much.
You're
Tracy,
welcome.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.